He's the guest who has been on the longest at this podcast. But last time we spoke to him, I was like, Virtual is making things happen. Things are starting to blow up. He mentioned a marbles video that suddenly had like 10k views. Well, today that video has over 1.5 million views. I was like, it's not too long ago since we spoke to Virtual, but a lot has happened, so it's time to speak to Virtual again. So Virtual, it's a pleasure to once again welcome you to the channel. A man who is busy, a man who is making things in Trackmania, but still, you take the time and opportunity to speak to the hardest of the hardcore community in Trackmania. So welcome, Virtual.
Thank you so much, Eirik, and thank you for inviting me back on the podcast. You mentioned last time we spoke, I think it's 9 months ago.
Yeah.
But it feels so much longer ago because everything that's been going on and the way things are growing now. It's absolutely crazy, but it's always a pleasure to be back on the Eirik podcast. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, like I mentioned in the intro, you have been on the longest at this podcast. I think the record still stands at 2.5 hours. I don't think we will do that much talking tonight. So for people that might wonder what we have spoken about before is basically your history into the game, you as a player, and then the move to a streamer. We will sort of touch upon all of these topics, but not go into like 1 hour about how you hunted RPG tracks. But
yeah, exactly.
If you talk about what is the thing that has happened in the last 9 months, it's like, it feels to me as well, since I visited you in your hometown, that it's like 2 years ago since I was there, because sometimes it feels like time goes slow, but also it feels like time goes so fast during this sort of lockdown period. But what thing stands out the most to you since the last time we have spoken?
Well, last time we spoke, I think I'd only barely started making, I think it was like early summer. I'd barely started really focusing in on making videos and streaming and trying to create content. And I've learned so much about that in the last 9 months or 10 months or whatever it is right now. And things have just been exploding like crazy, especially on the YouTube front where, yeah, the views are up, the subscribers are up, and it's starting to become to the point where I'm treating it more as a work than a hobby. So that's really the main change. Like last time we spoke, I was just doing this for fun. I was just messing around, making marbles videos. Now it's like I'm trying to see how I can improve and really turn this into like a career. It's the main change.
Yeah, because there is, I think most of us do stuff in Trackmania for essentially fun. That's why I talk to people. I don't earn like anything from doing what I do. I do this because it's fun. But essentially my end goal is, if I had a dream job, it would be like, okay, today my schedule is going to be speaking to Virtual, and tomorrow it's going to be like speaking to Hillis, and then I'm going to make some articles about it. You are one of the few in Trackmania who's essentially starting to have a chance of doing what you actually had as a hobby, like you mentioned. But if you rewind the clock to essentially when you started streaming, was that a goal of yours to sort of, one day I want to be financially secure, that I can just wake up, all I have to think about is how can I make some Trackmania content? How can I have some fun in Trackmania?
Yeah, I mean, that was sort of the pipe dream when I started. I remember it pretty vividly. So I started streaming in 2017, and back then it was just like streaming me playing tracks together with other Trackmania players. It was very like a small community, 20 people, 30 people. We were just having fun. But then when I took a break for like 1.5 years, and I started back in 2019 again in the summer. And my plan then was to do like speedrun stuff, to go to ESA, do a speedrun there, do like speedruns of tracks, so record hunting. And back then I really had like a vision that this could be something, but you can't really assume that it's going to happen. Like, it's so unlikely to succeed as a streamer and as a content creator and have people watch your stuff and support you, that it's only like now dawning on me at this point that it can be a thing. Like that is my dream. And I am enjoying it a lot. It's crazy to think about that I just wake up, I go to my room, I work on editing stories about my favorite game that I've now played for 8 years, and then I stream talking to people and they want to watch me play my favorite game. It's really wholesome in a way that I'm able to do this. But I also feel like it's very fragile. Like, it could just collapse at any point. Like, maybe I just stop being interesting, or maybe Trackmania stops being interesting. Maybe I just run out of content. And so, like, I'm not taking it for granted at all that I'm able to do this. So I'm just Currently, it's just like one day at a time. I have my daily goals of what I want to do with editing, and I'm just gonna see where I end up. Really, it's the plan.
Mm. Yeah, because once you mentioned dreams in school, I myself was like, okay, I'm gonna be the best cross country skier ever of all time, and my kids or my teachers was like, that's unrealistic. That is like the smallest percentage of anybody can be like the best at something. But you sort of chose a path that nobody has essentially started before. I mean, when a kid say he want to be the best in cross country skiing, there are people who is doing that for a living. There wasn't many people who made Trackmania videos for a living once you were like, okay, this is something I want to do. It's a small game that barely too many people has heard about. So, how was that discussion maybe with your family, your friends, saying that I want to try out streaming, and it's not like I'm going to try out streaming Fortnite, where it's many people who
Yeah.
is doing stuff. It's a small racing game that I sort of have to build a path. I have to be the guy who is being the pioneer in this game.
So once I first started streaming, I told a couple of my friends, and they were really supportive. Like they loved the stream and watched and were cheering me on. And then I told my parents, and my parents didn't understand it at all. Like they thought like, yeah, this is a bad choice. You know, you should be doing more physical stuff. You should be getting a degree, going to university. Because I was talking a lot about them that I didn't want to go to uni. I wanted to instead focus on streaming because of Trackmania was releasing in the summer, and I really thought it could be something, you know. So I wanted to at least take this 1 year and just stream and do that as a job. But to my parents, it was basically instead of studying, I should just stay home and play video games for a year. And they didn't really see that connection. So completely understand that. It is a very new thing, being a YouTuber and everything. But I think we sort of realized that although Trackmania is a very unknown game in the grand scheme of things, it has such a rich history of events. Like we have very good track record of like every world record that has happened on tracks. We have replays so we can see all the runs that happened. There's so much tracks that have been built, like giant creations, videos. You have skins that have been made. And it's just, there's this entire world that people don't know exists. And if you're able to take that world and show it to people in a way that they can enjoy it, even though they're not really part of the world, sort of just like learning about a new fictional universe that you haven't heard about, then that is interesting to people.
Mm.
And I've experienced it myself with other communities that I'm not a part of. So I really early on understood it could be a thing, but it's taken me a long time to figure out how to best present it to people.
Mm. So in a way, would you say that, let's say we had four established people who already had made Trackmania videos for the last 10 years, would you say that it would be harder for you to then be sort of a guy who has reached the numbers you have now? Because now you are becoming the Trackmania guy on YouTube. When people search for Trackmania, you are sort of having a monopoly on it because you have the name there, you have the most popular videos, you see YouTube having promoting your videos at trending. So the question is basically, would you say that maybe it's easier for you personally now to get the numbers that you have achieved, or would it be easier if you have already established Trackmania on YouTube?
I think if Trackmania was bigger on YouTube, it would be faster to grow because you sort of end up in the same part of the algorithm as other creators already. But at the same time, as you said, it was sort of this undone thing. Like nobody had really ventured into Trackmania videos in that style. We had a very set style on how we made Trackmania videos for a lot of years, and it was usually a lot of text, and you didn't speak into the microphone. It was usually just showing the replays, not really telling any story, and us hardcore players enjoyed it. But if you then flipped it and turned it into stories that new people could enjoy, a lot more people would like the videos. So it would be easier to start, I think, if other people were doing it, but it wouldn't be as insane growth as it is now because I'm still one of the only people who's doing it. So the people who enjoy this stuff, they all are coming to me right now.
But I want to go back to essentially why you ended up doing this. Was it like you had a deal with your family that, okay, I can do this for 2 years, 3 years, and then if nothing after 3 years, then I'm going to go to uni like the traditional kid in Norway is going to go through the sort of educational system? Or was it like, I'm going to try until eventually I reach the goal?
Yeah, so that's the problem because what is the goal?
Yeah.
Because with this, the numbers for me right now they've just kept growing, and it's like you set yourself a goal and then you hit that goal, and then well, do I just set another goal now or do I just set another goal? So how do you measure like succeeding as a content creator? My goal was basically to see if I could um, make a good enough living out of this that going to uni would be like a bad move. So like if it was better than going to uni, then I would keep doing it. But it's not as safe as going to uni, of course, and it's also cool to get a degree in something pretty safely set for life. But at the current moment, the plan now is just to keep going until the ship sinks, honestly. Because this is the only chance I'm going to get at doing this. So if I really want to do Trackmania for a living, which I honestly do, then now is just the time I got to try it. So I'm going and I'm going down with the ship. And if I go down, I'll swim to shore and get a university degree, I think is the play.
For the people that recently have discovered you, and many people have, and maybe bunch into this YouTube podcast, can you quickly tell people what your story in Trackmania was? Because now we are speaking about you like the content creator you are, the streamer, the caster, but I mean, the first Trackmania Awards I hosted, you were like crowned as RPG Player of the Year, so you are having this foundation at heart that you are a good Trackmania player. You are arguably one of Norway's best. I don't know, you have to have a Norwegian championship to find out if you are the best, but can you tell people what is your record in Trackmania? What is your history in Trackmania before eventually you became a guy that everybody now knows about?
Yeah. So first of all, if you're new, welcome. It's really cool that so many people are discovering Trackmania right now. But my story, I started playing the game. My very first experience with the game was in 2008, just after it launched, where my brother and his friends, who is 1 year older than me, my brother had downloaded it on the family laptop, and he was playing it with his friends. And then when it was my turn to use the laptop, he forgot to sign out of his account, and Trackmania was already open. So I just went exploring a little bit, played the game. I thought it was really cool, the racing game. Later ended up downloading it myself on my account and played with my brother quite a lot. And then I sort of forgot about the game because there were other games that were around, like Battlefield Heroes was really big. I played a lot of that. I played Minecraft, which was really big back then too, and sort of just forgot about it, that it existed. And then in 2013, I ended up finding some Trackmania videos on YouTube, and there were people who were doing like really crazy things, like crazy shortcuts. FWO, fastest way only, if you've seen them in my videos. That's sort of how I got into the game again, was seeing what crazy things people would do in Trackmania and how dedicated people were. So I rediscovered the game in 2013. I played it for quite a while, and as you said, RPG tracks. I took a very big liking to RPG tracks. They're basically adventure tracks where you drive around in like an abandoned castle or a temple, and you have to do obstacles and jumps that are pretty tough. And the tracks are like 10 minutes long, so it sort of becomes like a speed run where you try to perfect everything on just one track, which is pretty long. So I did that for a while, tried to be one of the best players there. And then I also did a lot of shortcuts, tried to join fastest way only. And I really liked doing mostly unconventional stuff. Like I didn't just enjoy the normal racing bits, but like if you could do a very unique skip or a new jump or something that was undiscovered, I really appreciated it. So that's really what I ventured into. And then I started in 2015 making videos just for fun, like montages about my records in Trackmania. And then later on, I started trying to experiment with like storytelling and stuff. It was really terrible. This is like 2018. I tried making my first storytelling video. It was absolutely terrible. I have it unlisted still on my YouTube channel. But I had voice cracks. It was bad editing. It was bad. So I didn't end up publishing that. But I already back then thought like maybe you can make something cool in Trackmania. And then my PC broke. And so I stopped playing for like half a year in 2018, 2019. And then I decided to fix my PC. I got into speedrunning, ESA, and then I got into streaming again. And when I started streaming, it was sort of natural to just do the things I'd already done. So like shortcuts, RPG tracks, it kind of set me apart from the other Trackmania streamers who were mostly playing normal tracks. I was like the weird guy for a while. But yeah, and then I've just kept doing that. So I've done a lot of challenges now. Like I really enjoy those where it's like, can you beat Trackmania in reverse? Can you beat Trackmania without checkpoints? Like these sort of weird challenges are something I appreciate a lot in the game.
We are going to talk about Ludwig soon, but he's one of the guys I follow on YouTube myself, and he made a YouTube video where he essentially tried to give tips to upcoming guys. There was essentially using YouTube as the platform and then maybe using Twitch as a place where you can create the content. Essentially, if you have an idea, you like you have finished Trackmania backwards, you stream that on your Twitch channel, but make a YouTube video out of it. Is YouTube the main platform that you try to catch people on, or is it Twitch? Do you have any strategy about how do you want to be discovered? Where do you want to be discovered? What content is going to be likely to be discovered on the different platforms?
Yeah, so first of all, Twitch, it has very bad discoverability, as you said, and Ludwig has said too. It's very hard for your stream to get discovered on Twitch. So if you just start out streaming and you go live and play Trackmania, it's not going to grow your channel that much. In order to grow, you need like something unique, and you need a platform where you can find people. Like YouTube has a really good algorithm that just recommends your channel to people if you make good content. And so like I realized this very early on that I need to make YouTube videos and try to make them really good. So I think I started in April of 2020. So around 1 year ago, I started making videos, and it was like I challenged 70 people to build the best map. So that was just like, we did a challenge on stream, we ported it over to YouTube, and that brought, again, new people to my stream. And then I tried to do this like back and forth with a couple of videos. But lately I've also realized that YouTube is the main place to try to grow. Twitch is cool. It's very fun to stream. But I'm trying more and more to become a YouTuber rather than just a streamer. Because it's more sustainable, I think. Because on Twitch, you're only there like 6 hours a day. For me, for example, I'm only live 6 hours a day on Twitch, and that's the only times people check my channel there. But on YouTube, it's 24 hours, 7 days a week that my videos are there, my content is there, people can find it. So definitely strategy about content is do stuff on stream and port it over to YouTube is a really good approach.
Yeah, because that was something I thought about once I heard Ludwig speak about it. But also something that you have been really now well known for is like the storytelling. You're able to make people who isn't understanding Trackmania, what Trackmania is all about. There is no like, you don't have to have some entries of barrier. You don't have to know what Trackmania is before essentially sitting down and watching a video that is recommended to you. What did you understand something about it that like, okay, maybe the Trackmania content at the moment is too hard to understand for a new player, or was it just a lucky shot that eventually like, okay, this sort of formula seems to work, let's copy it for the other videos?
Yeah, no, I definitely put a lot of thought into it because I thought about myself, like my situation, what do I find interesting? And if I'm on YouTube and I get like a 15-minute documentary on my sidebar, I'll first be very skeptical because it could be any topic, right? But if I click it and I enjoy it, even though I have no clue what it is, I'm down. I'm so down to learn about like a new thing I didn't know existed and hear passionate people talk about it. So I think the vision for my channel really started when I found this one YouTube channel. He's called FitMC. And he basically just makes YouTube videos about this one Minecraft server, which is like an anarchy server, and it has all this history. And it is the weirdest thing, but he just keeps telling stories about it, and he's really passionate, and he makes these really cool videos. And I'm so down to learn about the lore of this one Minecraft server that I thought, surely if I present Trackmania lore in a fascinating way, that some people are going to find it interesting. And so in October of 2020, I did my first like big story video where I told the story of this 14-year-old shortcut that was finally done. And that video just took off more than I could ever imagine. And so I was like, okay, that's really cool. I'll make another one. Let's see if the magic trick works twice. But then I got a hand injury. I was typing a lot, writing the scripts for what I was going to say. and I got a hand injury, so I had to like let it off for a month. So I started again in December, and I made the A12 history video, another one. And then that one didn't do too well. It got like 1/3 of the views of the first one. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's not that interesting. Maybe it's not that like big. But the thing is, like, you always have to try to analyze and see like, what did I do wrong? And then I thought, maybe it's the thumbnail, maybe it's the title, maybe it's the length of the video because it's a long video. So all these things I experiment back and forth, but what I've landed on now, I think, is a pretty solid content formula where I'm going to do like 10 to 20 minute documentaries about things in the game that I find fascinating and I think would be fascinating to learn about. That's really where I've landed.
Yeah, because how do you find out about what topics you want to make? Is it like everything is going inside of your own head? Do you have some sort of group of close friends who is like sharing ideas, having brainstorm sessions together? How do you find out about what is the next story that I want to tell the world, and is it interesting?
Yeah, so this is something I think about a lot, because this is basically my job, is to just think about interesting topics to talk about. One thing I really remembered early on is a quote. I think it's from a Norwegian like artist, like painter, where he said, whenever I get an idea, I just write it down immediately. So I have in my PC, I have like 8 different notepads with a ton of video ideas, and I just write down everything. And it usually starts with a vision. So I just get a vision of something that I want to tell a story about. And then I think about the title. It's like, what's the title going to be? Is it going to be an interesting title? And then I form the story around the title. So sort of, for example, the one I talked about, a 14-year-old shortcut was finally done, or what the title exactly was. And I think like, okay, so I first have to tell about the record and then how it stood for so long, and then show like what progress was made, and then the final run. So I always think about the title, and then I structure everything around the title.
But to be clear, you are doing this basically by yourself. It's like everything, or most of it, is going through your own head.
Yeah. So people send me video like requests or ideas all the time, like things they want to see. And some of it is like, yeah, I could do that. But it's usually much better when I have a vision of how I want it to look. That's when the videos really like become how I want them to be. Because you sort of start off on YouTube, you start off and you look to others for inspiration. It's like you see another channel and you think, okay, I could do something similar to that. And then you end up sort of maybe copying a little bit or taking some parts that they did until you more and more evolve into your own thing. Which is what I feel my channel is becoming right now, where in the start it was heavily ripped off from some other channels that I like to watch myself. And now it's more of just my own vision. But I also have editors working for me. I have 2 editors right now who are really, really good. And the more I've worked with them, the more they sort of also see the same vision that I do for the videos. So it's a lot smoother, the editing process now.
Both of us are deeply involved in Trackmania. Both of us really want this game to be discovered. Now you have helped Trackmania in a way that you are making it shown on a platform that is YouTube, but you mentioned that it's a fragile future for you, but it's also a fragile future for Trackmania. Let's say that if you find out that, okay, after the summer I'm going to study, then we have lost a content creator on YouTube and sort of lost probably the biggest marketing guy on the platform. So if we can recruit someone, if we can have someone coming up and doing what you are doing on YouTube, but not going the way that, okay, I want to tell a story about the exact same topic that Wirtual is doing and doing the exact same thing. But what would your tips be to people who say that, okay, I see that Wirtual can make Trackmania successful on YouTube, I want to try to do the same? What is the thing they should think about before eventually starting in the first place, and once they actually have set themselves into the process of doing it?
I think the main thing is that I'm seeing a lot is videos are too long. So a lot of Trackmania content creators will upload like a 50, so almost an hour-long video of something that they did, like just a VOD, where they just go from Twitch, they just upload the entire thing raw. And I'm a Trackmania player. I'd happily watch 50 minutes of Trackmania. I love this. But if you're trying to reach new people, it's just like you see that on the sidebar and you think, maybe, but it's almost an hour, you know? I don't know if I'm gonna like this, so they just maybe click something else. So I'd say try to get the video shorter. Try to make like 10 to 20 minute videos. That's probably the golden zone. And then titles matter a lot, thumbnails matter a lot. And also for the actual content, I really don't mind if people tell stories the same way I do. I think it's great for the game. I think there's a bazillion stories out there to be told from different environments. Like the competitive scene, you could probably tell stories of how someone became world champion, how someone became the best player, how this was the closest tournament or the most stacked tournament or something like that. You can tell a lot of stories about like, or the player who disappeared, like the greatest player who just disappeared, something like that. You know, you can just theory craft these stories. There's a lot to be told there. About mapping, there's a lot to be told. About making skins, probably there's a lot to be told. So yeah, overall, there's so much out there that hasn't been done yet in Trackmania. And tutorial content is one thing. Now there's so many people coming in. There are so many people who are wondering like, how can I do this? How can I do that? And there's no real like comprehensive tutorials to point to. So that's something that is deeply missing. But overall, I just think try to be creative, try to think of things that would be interesting, and always, absolutely always assume that someone is going to be watching your video for the first time. Because people who've watched okay, so I have to explain every video, it seems like, what the engine off block does. It's not, like, it's just a thing now. I just have to explain it. And people are memeing me about it, but it's like, I don't know, Jimmy could be watching for the first time. Maybe he doesn't know what the block does. Now I've explained it. Always point your content towards the new people, because people who are already fans of you, supportive of you, they will watch it most likely anyways.
Yeah, that's some wise words there. But once you are uploading a video, now I have to imagine that you have some sort of expectations, because you have reached the numbers that you are. The sort of average views of your videos is unlikely for any other creator, but it's likely for you. So once you press upload on a video, what is the goals that you have? How is the process of pressing upload, then maybe going into the analytics and seeing, okay, how well is this video going?
Yeah, so that's an interesting one, because it's very hard to set a specific number like as your goal, because you never know what the algorithm will do. You could make a really good video and maybe it just doesn't get picked up. Maybe the thumbnail isn't that good, so people don't click it, or maybe the title could be structured better. So I always think like a good number that people always say is half your sub count is a pretty good number to aim for with videos. So if more than half of your subscriber count watches the video, that's a good number. But obviously with videos that take me a longer time to make, like the most recent one, the one on DO7, I thought, okay, so this is a documentary, which tends to get more video views than like a stream highlight type of video. I thought, based on similar videos that I uploaded, that, okay, maybe this video would get 700,000 views. I'd be stoked if the video gets 700,000 views. That would be incredible. That would be well worth it. Well worth my time. And then the video just took off. It completely took off. And it's approaching 3 million views, which is just, it's such a staggering number. So I tend to set very conservative goals with the videos. I don't tend to think too much about the numbers when I upload, but I'll have like a rough idea in mind, and then I'll see if it matches the number that I actually get. Because you can sometimes tell if a video will do well or not based on what you've made. But what I more importantly try to think about is just building up a good catalog of content. This is very important on YouTube too. It's like, I don't think you should upload everything you do. I think you should only upload like your really best videos. And so that when someone finds your channel, when someone discovers your channel and they watch one video and they like it, there's just a whole, like, say there's 40 to 50 videos and they're all like this. They're all really, really good videos that someone could get lost in. So based on just getting one view, you could potentially get like 40 more views just from that one guy finding your channel. So really try to, the goal is mostly just to build up a good catalog, to have a channel that once you discover this, you can just binge all the videos.
Mm.
That's
Yeah,
always been my goal. Yeah.
yeah. Certainly, once you mention it, it's like, okay, I realize that my Trackmania channel is never gonna be creative or maybe being discovered because I have 500 event interviews and then I have some few like podcasts. You mentioned try to keep them short. Here I am talking to you for 2 hours, but essentially, there's a difference. I try to essentially aim for the hardcore
Yeah.
community, and you try to promote it in a way and it's unquestionable what is the most important aspect of Trackmania now is to recruit new players into the game, is to recruit new eyes into this game because, like I said, we both want this game to blow up, and it's not blown up the game itself, but the content on YouTube has blown up itself. But well, if you go back to once the game was released in July of 2020. I myself took a holiday for 2 weeks, and that was just in case Trackmania sort of blew up, and it blew up in those 2 weeks. But what sort of goals did you have then? The last time we spoke was just before it. I remember a quote that's saying, "What do you think about the new
Oh,
game?" I like the pink trees, but we haven't spoken essentially about the sort of the 2 weeks that was sort of everybody stream Trackmania. XQC, the guy who wanted to stream, Lyric, the guy who wanted to stream, Ludwig, the guy who wanted to stream. So essentially, everybody who you mentioned could stream it and would be sick to have streamed it. How was it? How was it once we hit July 1st as a Trackmania fan, as a Trackmania content creator, as a Trackmania streamer?
yeah. I was seeing the stars when this happened. Like, I saw the Trackmania category. I think we at one point had like almost 100K people in the category. It was just mental to think about. Like, this was our little game that we've been playing for years, and now it was truly taking off. But I also sort of realized that these streamers are variety streamers and they're in it for the hype. And when the hype dies, they're going to go on to the next thing that's hype. And so there were a lot of other games that were releasing, like Fall Guys. And then you a bit later had like chess blowing up, and then Among Us was a big thing. So it didn't last that long. And the streamers that came in, they simply ran out of content, I think. But it was for those 2 weeks, it was crazy. I really thought like the approach that I was going to take then was I wasn't going to become like a storyteller guy, but I was going to become like a active community guy, hosting tournaments, hosting competitions, casting events, and doing like coaching. Maybe talking to like Lyric, coaching Lyric was like an idea I had back then because he watched my tutorial, which got me completely starstruck. But then I sort of realized, like after the 2 weeks, when all the streamers sort of moved on to the next thing, I was like, oh, okay, that's a bit unexpected. And the player numbers were going down, and so I really back then had to change my approach because I remember I was making tutorial videos about how to drive every campaign track. I was making like content basically aimed at players already playing Trackmania was my approach. And then I just sort of had to do a 180 and say like, okay, so not a lot of people are playing Trackmania right now. So I need to restructure and I need to make content for people that don't know about the game to try to bring it back, you know?
Mm. But how important is a release for you? Like I said, I took 2 weeks off essentially just in case this blew up. How important is a release for you? Was it like a big motivational boost? Was it like, okay, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to essentially blow up? Because you mentioned once you have, essentially, if you had to blow up at some point, it should be in July last year. It shouldn't be like now in the early part of 2020 when out of nowhere your channel is like doubling in some months. But what did you think about yourself and progress you yourself made the first weeks of the new game?
Yeah, like I really really thought that the release was going to be the opportunity we'd get because Trackmania had been out for so long. There have been so many versions. This was sort of the final attempt, you know, the final attempt to make Trackmania a thing. So I just thought July 1st, that's the day we have to be there. I ended up canceling a family holiday actually to be at home and streaming at July 1st. So they were going to like, I think Western Norway. They were going to be there for like a week. So if I went there, I wouldn't be home until like July 5th. And there was just no way I couldn't do that. So I had to be home. And I streamed and I ended up having like, I think 300 or 400 viewers. It wasn't really a lot. But then later on, as sort of some people left, there were still some people left from watching like Lyric play it, XQC, Soda Poppin', Ludwig. and they wanted to watch more. And so like the release was important, and then the few weeks after it, I think I ended up going up to like 1,000 viewers average on Twitch, which was crazy. That was a staggering number. But then sort of that hype died down again, and the hype sort of died down. And I think around October, I was down to like 300, 400 again. So I hadn't really like gained much from the release, which was like, okay, we tried, we tried our best. So I really thought the release was going to be big. But I think if the game was in the state that it is in now, it's a lot more healthy. Because there were so many things that happened around release, which were super unfortunate. Like records not being saved, like people had trouble connecting to the servers. There were cheated records. There were teleporting records. There was delay on the ghosts. So there was like a lot of things, and no matchmaking that we finally have now. But I think now the game is sort of ready to receive players again. The game is slowly progressing. We have Cup of the Day, which I think is amazing. Really, really glad they added that. So although the release was important and probably should have been the pivoting point, I don't think it's too late yet. I really think Trackmania can still become big. But what matters a lot to me now is growing Trackmania's presence on social media. So like I have a big presence. Trilux casting Trackmania Grand League has a big presence. Sardosh has a big presence. But if we all leave, Trackmania doesn't really have a big presence. So for me, it's very important to try to host more events on the Trackmania Twitch channel, to try to maybe grow the Trackmania Twitter account, Trackmania YouTube account, so that the game is more self-sustaining than just relying on big content creators casting events and stuff.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and then a good opportunity to speak about that, because I have sort of barked at the tree to sort of have an official cast ever since it was announced that you're going to have 16 different casts. But a guy who has made it possible, at least from the outside perspective, is like, once you have raised your voice, or once you have tipped Ubisoft and Deo about this is something we can do, you have the sort of, carrot in your hand that, okay, you want big numbers. Well, I now have a big personality. I have the numbers that I can put me on the Trackmania Twitch channel. I can at least get 4 digits. So why is that important to you, like you said? Because once you are casting Trackmania Grand League for Noravin, and there are 15 other casts, you are the biggest English cast. So if you are going to be egoistic, you can just continue the same way and say like, okay, why should I change something? I have the biggest. I grow for every step that is going, but okay, I want to actually help Trackmania grow another Twitch channel.
Because like to me, it's also important that the game survives, because that's sort of what I feed off of, is the success of Trackmania in total. So, and I think just in general, like when you see other esports, like Rocket League, like Counter-Strike, they usually have official channels that the esport is hosted on. And it's just like, if you can get that to a big enough point, the official channels, then people just discover that events are going on more often. You just get more viewers by having more viewers. It just snowballs. So I think having a centralized cast for the future would be really good, because it's always been something I've been thinking about. Like when we're going to do official events, when there's not going to be orgs casting, like let's say the World Cup, will we have orgs casting there? I don't know. But if it's only one cast and that channel has like 5,000 followers, then not a lot of people are just going to know that it's going on. So the sooner the better to start growing the official channels and try to make them climb up to a point where Trackmania could just go live with any event and you'd get big numbers. That would be really, really positive for the game. And I also just think like, it's a new world, social media, how you promote yourself and how you build a brand. But if they put in a bit more effort into that, I think it would be good. I know they are also working to improve the game, which is equally important, that you have good content in the game, you have good updates, and continuously show that you're improving the game. That's very important. But promotion and social media is something that I think is a little bit overlooked.
100% agree there. But if you go into the casting aspect of Trackmania, like I mentioned, you are the biggest once it comes to the numbers. I at least nominated you for Caster of the Year, the Trackmania Awards. I don't know what they did because you didn't get nominated there, but what do you think can be improved once it comes to the casting aspect of Trackmania? Should it be like Virtual is casting alone, like he can control everything he does? Is it like you casting with G Geek? Should it be like bringing in Kappa? Could it be like a playing voice in there? What is the things that you see can be improved, if anything, in the casting aspect of Trackmania?
I actually really like the 16 caster system now more than I did when it started. When it started, I was a bit confused because I thought this is going to be weird with so many different streams. The viewership is going to be very diluted and it's going to be confusing for new people. If they just go into Trackmania category, they see that the game is booming and then they see like, okay, there's all these streams. Which one do I watch? Who do I follow? Who's like the player that I want to cheer for? And I think it can work, but it also, I think, just needs an official cast. If you're undecided, if you're just discovering it, and which can be a stream where it's more aimed towards the new players. It's like you'll cast in a way where you're not taking for granted that they know what a neo slide is or that they know what a bug slide is, and you're sort of just presenting it in a way that people can understand it. Just like the YouTube videos that I make, where I try to do it in the same way. If you have a cast like that, and you just take assumption that a lot of people are watching for the first time, it would be very positive for the game.
But how do you see your own future as a caster? Is it something that you prioritize a lot? Is it something that you maybe look back at? Okay, how did I cast the grand final? How can I improve as a caster? Or is it something that you just do for fun and not something that you essentially, if you took it away, it wouldn't be like detrimental to you?
Oh, I do want to get good at it, yeah, because it is something that you can also transfer to other games. Like, I don't think I could easily get to a skill level like Trackmania in other games. It would take me a long time. If, let's say, in the worst case, Trackmania crashes and burns, what do I do then? Well, I'd have to go somewhere else. So casting is something you can do if you just know the basics of the game and you have your way with words. So I take it pretty seriously. I try to analyze my cast and see like, what did I do there? What could I do better? How could I say this better? Can I evolve my language and use cooler words to sort of not make it as boring to listen to? I think casting in the future, I'd love to keep casting Trackmania Grand League. I'd also love to even arrange my own events in Trackmania and cast them, like just do run my own show basically. If it comes to that, if I can get the players and get the events going, that would be really cool.
We missed the Rater Cup in 2021, so maybe Virtual Cup in 2021, no?
Yeah, but like no, for real though. I have been thinking about this. Like, I do want to host a cup and try to get like a prize pool and players and maybe sponsors, because you just gotta see if it can work. You know, I think Serrator wasn't any bigger than I am now when he first started, and he made it work. So, but then as you said, like now we're going up against, or not really up against, but there's already someone doing exactly this, and so it's hard to make it a new twist where it's interesting. But that is like something I'm thinking about, that I now am at the point where I could probably get players and streamers and maybe even sponsors and have like a big Trackmania tournament, which is an alluring idea. But I also have no clue about the logistics of something like that. So yeah, it's a small pipe dream, but hosting events would be really cool in the game.
Yeah, because once we talk about the release of the game, I think we both can sort of agree that, at least in my point of view, that the game was not that finished. So the game itself wasn't good during the release, but the numbers was good during the release because we had the biggest streamers in the world having fun playing 1-to-1 against each other. And that is something I really think, if Trackmania wants to blow up again, we need something like that to bring in those numbers. And then maybe once people discover Trackmania now, they can see that, okay, now we have matchmaking that I can play whenever I want. Now we have Cup of the Day that I can do whatever I want. So at least it's better to discover it now. But do you think that if people want to rediscover Trackmania that was made in 2020, we need the streaming push again? Do we need maybe Ubisoft to push it again? How can we make people rediscovering it so it's not relying on you making YouTube videos and people finding out about you, but sort of having more of a promotional push?
So what I noticed is, for example, the chess boom that happened in 2020. When streamers started playing chess a lot, they just jumped the gun and immediately hosted a big streamer chess tournament where pro chess players, the grandmasters, would coach streamers, and then streamers would face off. And so like you'd have this really good like story going on where streamer versus streamer, different Twitch chats, they're both playing. It's a great time. That was amazing for chess. Chess just blew up completely because of this initiative. And I'm sort of thinking the same with Trackmania. You could do something similar. You have the pro players coaching new players, or streamers in this case, and then they face off in a tournament. It could be really sick. And you could have like an ongoing storyline with it, like how the preparation has been, like have they practiced a shortcut, like I don't know. But yeah, and the thing is, I don't think the streamers stopped playing Trackmania because they didn't like the game. I think they just ran out of content. Like XQC, there's a clip of XQC saying like, "Where's Trackmania?" when he was talking about racing game of the year. Like he liked the game. I think Ludwig, as you saw, played it with his friends, and then they played the entire summer campaign, and then they just ran out of tracks and stopped playing. But he was down to play it again now, and it looked like they had fun. So I think if you have a prize pool, if you have an event, if you make it interesting and easy for the streamers to participate, then yeah, you got yourself a big promotional event. But the main sort of bottleneck for this is sponsors. Because Trackmania isn't really known for having like big prize pools for events. We mostly play for fun, and it is a lot of fun, but you need an incentive, I think, to bring out the big streamers and to get like a really platform-wide promotion on Twitch like that.
I have our own Discord server where I discuss something about Trackmania with the people who is essentially then fans of Trackmania, because if I can speak about Trackmania, I would speak about Trackmania, and we speak about it, and I will like, okay, I just want Trackmania to become big, and then one guy mentioned that, okay, I don't think Trackmania is a state where it can get big. Essentially, if it gets like majorly big now, it can maybe break down, and it would hurt the image for Trackmania in the future. Let's say that if you bring in all the biggest streamers into Trackmania, and sort of the game breaks, and that's what the people remembers, then it's not going to be the good thing in the long term. So the question is essentially, if you have a sort of a take on it, is Trackmania ready to become one of the major games in esport?
Oh, that is a tough question. That is a really tough question, because they're constantly working, trying to improve like netcode stuff and connection stuff, and also just server stability, where like how many players could you realistically get on a server or stuff like that. So it's hard to say. I think yes and no. I think it's ready, but if it really blows up, then and really blows up, I think that unprecedented player numbers would cause some instability. But we don't know, and I think it's honestly better to try than to not try. Because I mean, if you have a chance like that, let's say you could get a big event and maybe it could get like 50,000 viewers on Twitch with the streamers that you're able to get, and it's a big tournament and people remember it, and how their streamer beat the other streamer or something like that. Like you get a storyline out of it that viewers and people remember. That's worth gold. That's really worth gold. So yeah, I think it's ready, but it's going to take more work, and they are constantly working. So we just hope that it reaches a very stable point in the near future, I think.
We have talked about 2020 overall during the release, during your own success, but you got voted as Streamer of the Year by the community at the Trackmania Awards. Was that something that you expected, seeing once you like, okay, I'm nominated, like I can actually win it. I can be up against the sort of OGs of Trackmania streaming, Spam and Riolo, and who has essentially had sort of a monopoly of winning that. Now there's a new guy who has come up. You have more followers than any English streamer in Trackmania. So was that something that you expected to maybe win it, like seeing that the hardcore community is voting you as the streamer that they enjoy the most to watch once they have the opportunity.
It was definitely a little weird, and I think these things are very weird because you like streaming is sort of like an endless staircase where you start out very small and then you get like 10 followers and then that's like amazing. Then you get 100 and then that's amazing. And 1,000, that's amazing. And then you get like affiliate, that's amazing. You get partner, that's amazing. And you sort of walk the steps and you endlessly think like this is just incredible. And then you look back and you realize like how far you've come. And so suddenly you find yourself at the same step as the people that you look up to on the staircase. And you're like, whoa, how did I get here? I was just a small streamer, you know? So I have tremendous respect for both Spam and Yulo that have been streaming for years and years. And so like getting voted as streamer of the year was honestly crazy to see like that people now think that I'm equally good or even the streamer that they prefer over Spam and Yulo. So honestly, really cool to see that so many people like what I do. And I think it's it's really weird because it's the same now on YouTube where like channels that I look up to and I'm starstruck by is suddenly like, you know, they are at the same size that I am or they're getting the same views that I am. And ultimately you just realize that people are just people. So it's still like surreal the way things are going and how fast it's gone.
Let's hope in 2021 that you actually get nominated for Content Creator of the Year, because one of the most ridiculous sort of nomination process there, that you not getting nominated there and Carl Jr. only getting 1 vote out of, I think it was like 7 in the Player of the Year award. Those are the two I have the hardest time dealing with. But
I think the title on the Content Creator was just unfortunate because many people see Content Creator as someone who makes videos or makes TikToks, or that's content creation, right? But in Trackmania, it's more like what have you developed for the game or inside the game. So I think the confusion stems from the naming of the category, but it was actually like a Developer of the Year category. And then there's also the Movie Maker one, where it's more about creating something artistic rather than like something that's a video, I think. So I'm not too upset about the categories, really. I think overall it's just a fun show to see like what the community thinks, and I'm still just super happy with the way things are going. Whether I got an award, whether Spam got an award, it's honestly all the same. But it is at the same time really cool to be appreciated by the people that are like the closest, because I'll get hundreds of comments saying like, this was a great video, keep up the good work. And I really appreciate those comments, but at the same time the compliment sort of falls a bit flat because I don't know this person. But if like the players that I talk to and I played with for years and they're my friends, if they say like, dude, that new video, that was so good, I really liked it, you told such a good story, that means a lot more. And so like having this hardcore community and having these awards, I think is a good thing overall. But maybe some categories could be different. I don't know. I'm rambling.
Yeah, something can be changed there. I mean, I was the guy who essentially created it and was the guy behind it for, I think it was 4 years. And then I did my own thing because essentially I felt that I could do everything I could with that project. But it's still like you said, there can still be so many changes to it because Trackmania is such a complex game. It's such a complex different categories. I know some people don't want everybody like, okay, if you do this with the content creator category, then Virtual is going to win that as well. If you do this with the caster, then Virtual is going to win it as well. So it's sort of like you just want to give out one award per guy, even though like I think if I could pick, I would do like the guy who is most valuable should get the award. But I do my own shit now. I can do whatever I want with it. I can create my own every time. But I think it's important to have like a voice of the Trackmania community to actually say who they wanna, and I think it was really deserved that you got voted as the streamer of the year. And like I said, you could have been nominated for caster of the year, content creator of the year, movie maker of the year, even community person of the year. I mean, at least your mod Kem should have been in there and not like in the one he was what's content creator. I mean, He's more of a
I think
community person. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
So there is a
Cam is
lot.
amazing. Cam does a lot of great work for Trackmania. So even just recently with the Ludwig thing, he just jumped in and saved us and got the server settings running. I had no clue how to do that. He's really just like the fail safe. Cam is there to back you up. He's like the Robin to my Batman.
Yeah, there is not many people I'm scared about going up against Community Person of the Year 2021 because I have won it now 2 years in a row. But if Cam is coming up there, I think people can sort of they start to see what work he's doing by actually moderating every channel, by actually helping out everybody who wants to be helped out. I mean, he's even helping out the Trackmania Grand League with his spreadsheet that I now can be lazy. I can now just look at and see the stats he makes 10 times faster, 10 times better than me. So I mean, he should be nominated for Community Person of the Year, and I think it's time to actually appreciate the people who is moderating people. We saw how important that could be once Trackmania had their own first official cast. That what do you do with no moderators? Like then it's become like a nation war between Germany and France.
Oh yeah, that was something that I was like the official cast I think went really good. And there were a lot of people who watched it, which is a good sign for future official casts, but you learn from your mistakes every step of the way, and channel mods when you have 5,000 people watching is actually a necessity. So that is something to just, we made a mistake, we gotta take into account for next time. But that is one thing I want to say to people. If you're starting out and you're scared of making mistakes, you just kind of have to accept that they're gonna happen. I feel like every video I upload, I've made mistakes, or I've said something wrong, or I've done something wrong. But you learn from the mistakes, and you think, okay, next video I'll be better. Next stream I'll do it better. And gradually you just become better and better at what you do. But you only get there if you dare to make the mistakes. So don't be afraid to start out. Don't be afraid to make the mistakes. The best thing you can do is just starting, and then take it from there.
You mentioned the Ludwig situation when Cam essentially helped out, but there has to be a point where that deal come to a fruition. I mean, we know the story of Ludwig telling it that, okay, some guys slide into my DMs, I didn't notice it, then I realized he making YouTube videos, and then I realized that he was sliding into my DMs and sort of had already booked the project for me. So how did this all start? How did you get to play with who is now the biggest streamer on Twitch, judging by subscribers? I mean, probably also judging by the views he is getting by his subathon.
Yeah, Ludwig has just blown up now with the subathon, which honestly, I mean, we couldn't ask for better timing for the event, but the way it started, so I just like to take some chances. So I just decided to, after watching one of his videos, I just sent him a DM saying like, hey, we could do this in Trackmania. Here's how it would work. And he didn't see the DM, because I know at my size, I get a lot of DMs. He's like 10 times, 12 times the size. He gets probably bombarded with messages. So yeah, that no shot he saw my message. But recently, Ludwig had an injury, or like in a medical condition in his stomach. He had to remove something. And so he was in the hospital bed for, I think, 3 days or something, just browsing YouTube. And he came across my video, which was the quest for the biggest Trackmania shortcut. It had gotten to like 1 million views. He got it in his feed. He decided to watch it, and he thought it was cool. And then he decided to check my channel. And on my channel at the time, I had just uploaded a video, and it was called "How I Accidentally Won a Trackmania Tournament." And he looked at that title and thought like, okay, because I had directly yoinked that title from Ludwig. Because Ludwig had made 2 videos in the past, like how I accidentally won a Pokemon tournament, how I accidentally won a poker tournament. He made 2 of these. They did really well, and I thought the title was fitting for my video. But that got him thinking like, oh, okay, so this guy probably watches me. He goes to Twitter, he sees that I follow him, okay. And then he checks our DMs and see that, whoa, there's a virtual DM I never read, and he wants to play with me, okay. And so we just got to talking, and yeah, decided to play a match. It was pretty much it. But the funny thing though is that I got so many memes based on this "how I accidentally won" title. Like people still write like, you know, how I accidentally got out of bed and made breakfast this morning. Like, everything's, you know, on accident. But I think it was only because of that title that actually this happened. I don't know if you would have checked the DMs and everything if it wasn't for the way I set that up. So in the end, the Ludwig match was an accident too, but it happened because of a previous accident in a cup of the day, and you could go back in time and see this entire domino chain, you know, how it all started. But it's just a series of events, and it happened. It was really cool, and I'm not complaining.
It's like the butterfly effect, like a butterfly do something with their wings and it ends up like a storm or something. And it certainly was a storm, because once you actually, you mentioned it could not have been at a better time, because once the Bros vs. Pros in Trackmania was played out, it was at least during one of the high points at his sort of hype in his subathon. We reached the fourth highest peak in Trackmania's history. I mean, then we go back to ever since Twitch was created and until today, it was over 58,000 viewers, I believe. How was it to play it? How was it to play against those three guys? Did you notice any extra things, no extra hype? How is it to be in the driving seat of that?
I was pretty nervous. I'm not usually nervous when I stream anymore. I used to be in the beginning with like, but then you gradually get used to it. That's the thing. Like when I had 100 viewers, I was really nervous when I got a raid. I got 300 viewers. And then you get used to 300, and then you get maybe another raid, and you jump up, or maybe you have an event and you jump up. So I was used to having like 1,000 people watching me around that. But for the thing, I had like 3,800 viewers, and I knew a lot of them were new. I knew I'd also be talking on Ludwig stream, and he had 50,000 viewers. And so because I'm sort of, it's his show, but I'm sort of the expert in the scenario. I have to take like a very specific role. I didn't want to take up too much space. I didn't want to talk too much because it's his show. It's him and the boys. They're trying to beat me. So I had to be a bit like in the background, but at the same time also take charge of leading the show. It's like when we're going to start, what's going to happen, how we're going to play the match, which tracks we're going to play, and just how to structure the entire thing. So I was sort of leading production, but it was their show. And playing with them, it was really fun. I tried to make it interesting. I even maybe hinted a little bit for content here and there. Shh, don't tell them though. But yeah, no, it was great fun. And as I said earlier, it's like these people that you look up to and that you sort of put on a pedestal, they are just people. So once I got into the conversation with them, it was like, yeah, it felt pretty normal. But when I sort of took a step back and saw it from like a third person view, I was like, okay, here I am sitting talking to Ludwig, who I've bought his merch. I've watched his channel for like 2 years. I was a big fan, still a big fan, but here I am just like, I am the guy making content with this guy. That was really surreal. And no, it's just, yeah, it's the first time I do something like that. So, but overall, I had a great time, and I'm now thinking about how I could improve on that and maybe also expand on that to other streamers.
Yeah, because what is the story after it? I mean, it's cool to play during. It's probably cool to be part of, once again, the biggest peak, because you was part of the biggest peak once it was Games and Quick as well. But what is the aftermath of it? Is it like you mentioned, is it like your channel blows up? Is it like you get a lot of new viewers, or do you even notice any difference?
So I planned this out a lot in advance, where I would publish a video on the day of the collab with Ludwig, so that if people checked out my channel and they thought like, okay, this guy's pretty cool, here's a fresh Trackmania documentary to watch. That was the one that got like almost 3 million views now. Partially, I think that's because of the Ludwig collab, but maybe also just people in general finding it. But right after the collab, I also just sat down, started writing a script, started editing the video to try to upload the collab video before they did, because the main theme of the video is, of course, Ludwig. And if Ludwig uploaded the video before me, then people would have already watched the match and probably wouldn't watch it on my channel. So it was like a really big rush the next days to try to get the video up in time. And so far he hasn't uploaded it. I don't know if he will make a video of it, but at least we have the video. But I've definitely noticed like a jump in people discovering my channel and subscribing. Even like every day since the collab, I've gone up about 10,000 subs. It's slowing a bit down now, and it's around, I think, 5 or 6,000. But still, like, it's absolutely crazy numbers. It's so wild that I can't even comprehend that that is 10,000 new people a day. Just insane. But yeah, I'm just flabbergasted, and also trying to now feed into that, because these people, they want to see more. So I have to keep going, keep working. And this is like the point where I really could blow up, and from there on out, I could try to sustain this as a career. So I'm working a lot these days, trying to just keep up with the need for more content. And so far, it's going pretty good. I have like 2 or 3 videos. So the next 2 and 3 weeks are already planned out. But I'm also trying to expand. So like, I want to open more channels. I want to have a clips channel. I want to have like a secondary, more hardcore Trackmania channel with things like tutorials and tips and tricks and coaching sessions, maybe even just a bit like different content about Trackmania, or maybe even talks about the game. But I'm just trying to see how I can expand on this, how I can take it further, because it's very important to not get complacent, I think. To not think that, okay, this is cool and this is good enough, but to always like look for ways you could take it even further. And usually it's investing in growth is the main thing. It's like, now I have the potential to try to invest in growth, and I should take it. So that's something that I'm thinking about a lot.
Yeah, because again, you are sort of building the track as we go here. Nobody's have done it before you, so it's not like you can say, okay, this guy did that, then I can expect to do this. What is the future for you in Trackmania? Do you have any ideas about next time we speak in 9 months and it's gonna feel like it's been 4 years? What do we think we're gonna speak about then? Is it like you have reached 1 million subscribers, you have left Trackmania, Trackmania has become a major esport in racing? What is the future for you as a content creator in Trackmania, maybe in other games as well, if that's something you think about?
I really hope to become like to take Trackmania to the mainstream, so that it's something that more and more players play actively, but also just enjoy on YouTube or on Twitch. So I think moving forward, like in 9 months, where I am in 9 months, I don't know. What I can tell you is I set a goal for 2021. So from January 2021 to January 2022, 1 year, I wanted to hit 300K subscribers. By the looks of it, we're going to blow that number completely out of the water. So whatever happens for the rest of the year, it's honestly a success either way. But my goal is to end up at a spot where I can make content in Trackmania, I can do fun things in Trackmania, and really just show people why we spend so much time in this game, like why we're so captivated. Try to ignite that spark in people, because when people watch Trackmania for the first time, they're like, how can you play this track for 500 hours? How can you build this map that took you 2 years to make? Like,
Yeah.
what drives you? Why are you like this? And then it's like, well, it's hard to explain, but once you get like the Trackmania virus, I don't know if that's a good word for it, but once you sort of get the spark for the game, yeah, you get addicted. And I want to see if I can show people the game like that and make it so that they can enjoy it like that. Because for me, it's a place where I've met some of the best friends in my life that I've talked to for years and years online. It's a place where I've accomplished mastery. Like, some of the most memorable gaming moments and achievements I've ever done have been records or things I've done in Trackmania. It's just, yeah, I think I'm going off track on the question, but I think I just want to end up in a spot where I'm able to do and work exactly how I want to with Trackmania, and do my best to share this passion for the game with more and more people.
But are you at the point in your life or in Trackmania where you can say that you are financially secured by doing it? Let's say that if you are deciding to move out of the family home to together with a friend to move alone in an apartment, is it like the income from Trackmania itself, is that big enough to sort of make the Norwegian day go when you know that the expenses are the highest you can have? I mean, you picked the wrong country to live as a streamer because the expenses are so high. It doesn't matter where you live, judging by the income, but the outcome is gonna be like the worst country you have.
Right. So that's the thing. It's like I could be doing this from anywhere in the world, and the cost of living at a place like Thailand or Madeira or Brazil, if I was living in one of these countries, I'd suddenly be like one of the most well-off, richest people in those countries, you know? But in Norway, it's a bit different. It's, of course, higher income just in general. So currently, my plan is to try to move out around the summer, see if I can find a place with a couple of friends and see how we do. But yeah, it is sort of very fragile because 1 month a video could get like 3 million views like this. And I'm thinking, okay, that's really good. But then maybe the next month I upload one video and it only gets 800,000 or 700,000. It's a very unpredictable income that you get each month. So this is also why I've been considering to take sponsorships on my channel, because then no matter how the video does, no matter what the algorithm does, you at least know that you have this financial security in that the sponsor will pay you this and this much to promote their brand. I haven't taken any sponsorships yet, but I think I will experiment with it. And if people don't mind them in videos and if it's well received, it's something I might continue doing just because it makes me feel a lot more safe about the work.
We asked you a question about the future, and then of course you said that you went sort of off rails, but the future you can have 15 hours just talk about the potential future that we can have in life, and you are certainly at the point where the future is at least unknown. But if you talk about the nearest future, about the upcoming months, maybe before we reach July when we're going to have the Trackmania World Cup, what is the future looking like for you? What is an average day looking for like for you? Is it like taking some days off? Is it producing everything every day because you know that this is a unique opportunity?
Yeah, this is so unique. So my current days are a lot of work. They're a lot of work. Like I'll wake up and then I'll get to my PC. I'll start editing or working or answering emails, answering messages, planning things out. And I think I work pretty much the entire day. So like I work on videos in the mornings, I stream in the evenings. The days where I don't stream, I work the entire day. And my vision about it is that I'm working a lot now so that maybe I'll be able to work less in the future. I know that these next months are going to be like super stressful because this is sort of the pivot point of my channel where I have to do this if I want to do it. I sort of can't just say like, okay, yeah, it's going good. I can chill, because I don't think the way YouTube is promoting my videos right now, I don't think it will ever do this again. So while it's going on, I just have to keep like getting out content, getting out videos. So right now I'm just working. I'm gonna work probably for the next 3 months, 4 months consecutively, and maybe take like a small summer vacation, and then try to find a new place to stay, and then go right back at it. Is the main plan. But as you said, the future, no clue. I think I just have to try to move out and see how it goes. Because that's sort of when you figure out like if it's going to work or not, to be able to do this full time, individually, independent from your family. So I won't know until I've tried, but I'm looking forward to trying it.
It's been a pleasure. I think it's time to run it off. I mean, once you mentioned that try to keep videos short, I was like, should I cut it at 10 minutes just to get promoted by YouTube? But it's too much of a pleasure to speak with you. I think we're now I think it's you, SoftyB or Riolo, has now the longest time talking with me. So that's a good sign that because interesting to hear. I mean, I didn't think that once you came up that okay, I'm gonna talk to him like 3 times, and it's gonna be an hour every time. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if it's gonna be 3 more times that we do this, because you have changed Trackmania in the way that you are doing it now, and I don't think we're gonna be surprised if you continue doing it. I mean, the plans that you have to host events, to bring in the streamers. If there's one guy who could do it, besides maybe Hillis, but I have more beliefs in you doing that than Ubisoft and Deo at the moment. So I really think we should follow your journey and support you and stand behind you as a Trackmania community. And I hope that the Trackmania community has at least shown you that we are behind you. I don't know how it is to be in the seat itself, but is there any final words to the people that have supported you and maybe not supported you in the road to this point and probably will continue to support you?
Yeah, first of all, I just gotta say, I'll love to be back here, Eirik. Whether it's 250k or 800k, doesn't matter. Always a pleasure. You ask very interesting questions, which I love to sort of dig deep in myself and see if I know the answers to them. I don't know all the answers, but I try. To the Trackmania community, it's honestly just incredible what's going on right now. Everyone is so supportive that have been following my channel for years and are still following. And they are also along for the journey. So thank you guys so much for supporting me and making it possible for me to do what I do. It's really awesome. We're going to try to make Trackmania great again, step by step, little by little. And it's only the beginning, I think. I really think it's only the beginning. We have a really big opportunity now, and we just kind of have to seize it, I think, to try to get it to the mainstream. That is the end goal. And I think it's going to be good for everyone. But yeah, as for me, thank you so much for inviting me on the show, Eirik. I'll hopefully be back here pretty soon and we can talk around. It's a great pleasure. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say.
That's a good talk, Virtual, and hopefully I can travel through Norway again and maybe stop by your area again, or maybe now you come and visit me in northern Norway. I mean, you have your history of living here. So,
visit, yeah.
Yeah. But that's it for today. Make sure to check him out if you haven't. I mean, if you're checking out a YouTube channel with 2,000 subs and not checking out a YouTube channel with 300,000 subs, you're doing something wrong, or YouTube is doing something wrong. But I mean, check him out if you can, and don't be surprised if Virtual shows up on this channel again. And once again, Virtual, a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Have a good one, guys.